I am going to be leaving New Zealand for Australia, and here is why. Stay tuned to today's video as I explain why I'm choosing not to extend my visa in New Zealand and I'm choosing to go back to Australia. Before we get into it, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel as well. And yeah, let's get into it. So as you guys might know, if you've been watching the channel, I'm originally from the UK. I've been living out of the UK for about 3 years now. I spent 2 years in Australia and I've been living in New Zealand on a working holiday visa as well. And there is a few reasons to why, yeah, I'm gonna be going back to Australia rather than choosing to extend to a second year visa here. You can actually do, if you didn't know, on a working holiday visa, you can actually do 3 years in either country. You can do 3 years in Australia and you can do 3 years in New Zealand as well if you want to. So let's start with some of the reasons. The biggest one, I'll have to tell you a little bit of a backstory because this is the biggest reason, and that is we weren't actually meant to come to New Zealand in the first place. We did 2 years in Australia, as I said, and only in July last year they changed the rules so people in Australia can actually do 3 years now. But my visa, my second year visa, was up in April, so we had to leave Australia in April, which meant there was a period of time where we had to be out of Australia. We went traveling through Southeast Asia during this time, which was amazing, but basically we spent a lot more money than we realized. And even though the visa was coming out for Australia in July, it could have been a lot longer by the time we'd actually applied for it until we could actually move there. So we needed to work basically, and we knew that New Zealand offered a very similar, well, the exact same visa that Australia offer. So we thought, why don't we just go to New Zealand? So it was never really in the original plan, but it was all right. We had an option to go and work in New Zealand, which is what we've been doing. This is the reason we've actually moved to New Zealand. And yeah, it wasn't our first choice. Our first choice was definitely to go back to Australia, but yeah, this is the reason we actually moved to New Zealand in the first place. So that's the first reason we're going to be returning to Australia, and that's because we weren't actually meant to come to New Zealand in the first place. Now, like I said, if we wanted to, we definitely could stay in New Zealand. There is a few reasons why that's not the case. Obviously the first one, like I said, we weren't meant to, so Australia was always going to be a first choice for us. But after spending a decent amount of time in New Zealand now, I think it's become clear that we definitely preferred Australia. I don't think New Zealand's a bad place. In fact, I feel like I can't give a full review of New Zealand because I haven't travelled the country like I did with Australia. I didn't get to go down to the South Island, which I'm sure if we did, could have been a whole new experience. But I feel like New Zealand was always one of them places which we wanted to travel but never really liked the idea of living here. We've lived in Auckland for the whole time. We did actually go home for Christmas, which kind of meant that we couldn't really do a big trip in New Zealand because most of our focus was on going home for a visit because we hadn't been home in 3 years. So yeah, living in Auckland has been interesting. It's not been amazing, but it hasn't been terrible. I think generally me and my girlfriend, we did prefer our life in Australia. That's just an honest review. Life in Auckland hasn't been bad. In fact, that summer period, particularly when we got back from the UK between January and March, it's been really nice. Auckland in the summer is very nice. If I could turn the camera around right now, we are coming out of summer and you will see it is absolutely pissing down outside. And that's been the difficult thing about living here in Auckland, and that's the weather is nowhere near as good as it is in Australia, apart from that couple month period which was really nice. But after living in both countries, I've said this on here before, and again, this isn't me being some New Zealand hater because I don't hate it here at all. It's a really nice country, really nice people, and a great way of life still as well. But I give an open and honest review on everywhere I go, and I did prefer Australia. I preferred the way of life. The wage is higher, so for example, we've been working here for the amount of time we've been working in New Zealand now. If we'd worked that in Australia, we'd have easily saved an extra few £1,000s because the wage is that much higher in Australia. And yeah, just generally, I like the beach kind of vibe, that kind of way of life, and more importantly, the hot weather for, yeah, most of the year. Auckland weather is fairly similar to the UK. And I think as I've gone into, you can check out this video on the screen actually, I talk about why, the comparing living in New Zealand and comparing living in Australia. New Zealand is a great country if you're settled down, maybe you're retired, maybe you've made a bit of money and you just want to live somewhere peaceful and enjoy the nature and the peaceful vibes. I don't think it's the best country for young people who are looking for lots of opportunity, looking for growth, to meet lots of other backpackers. I don't think it's the best for that. Australia is a much better option in that area, hence why so many people are actually leaving New Zealand for Australia. I could definitely see why people would want to settle down in New Zealand. If you don't like the hot weather and you love nature and mountains and you want peaceful vibes, the best country surely for that. I speak to a lot of people in New Zealand, young people in particular, and they do say, you know, it is fairly boring here for them. And to be honest, I can see that. You take the nature away and yeah, there's not a lot. And even then, most of the nature is outside of the city, and it does take you planning a trip to actually go and see it. Compared to in Australia, where I felt like the scenery and the beach and stuff was much more part of like daily lifestyle. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts. That's the reason we're going to be going back to Australia. It was always in our plans to go back to Australia. I think even before we moved here, we kind of knew that we were going to go back to Australia at some point anyway. I mean, if we'd loved it here and had the best experience ever, then I'm sure we would have stayed. But when you're weighing up the options, we can go back to Australia, we can stay here in New Zealand. Either one is as easy as each other. For us in our 20s right now, I think Australia is, yeah, the best option for us. And speaking of that, the other week we applied for our 3rd year working holiday visa for Australia, and it got accepted straight away. I didn't actually realize it got accepted straight away. We actually both missed the email, but I looked the other day and yeah, we have both been accepted for a 3rd year in Australia, which is so exciting. And for you guys wondering about either country, New Zealand could be a better option for you for sure. It just depends what you're looking for. For my lifestyle and looking for opportunities and being surrounded by lots of backpackers, for me Australia is a better option, but there's no reason why New Zealand wouldn't be a better option for some of you guys as well. But yeah, that's the situation. We're hoping to go back to Australia pretty soon, and yeah, stay tuned to the channel for loads more content which I'm hoping to bring your way. Also, feel free to subscribe to mine and my girlfriend's channel. I'll leave it on the screen there, so if you want to watch vlogs and stuff and more of a lifestyle sort of content, then make sure you subscribe to our channel there. I'll leave that in the description. And yeah, that's why I'm going to be returning to Australia after living in New Zealand. So thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.